Hi, I'm Katie Tam, and today I will be talking to you about fast food dining. So some of the things we're going to cover today are talking about, why we eat fast food. We're going to get more into the health risks associated with consuming fast food regularly. We'll talk more about the nutrition composition of typical fast food meals, and then we'll end with, recognizing healthier alternatives when eating out. So I included the definition of fast food, although I'm sure we all know what it means. It is simply food that can be prepared quickly and easily and is sold in restaurants and snack bars as a quick meal or to be taken out. So getting more into why we eat fast food is probably obvious to most of us, but we're a fast food nation and they're everywhere. You drive down the street and you've probably got 3 or 4 places to choose from. And when I was looking up some of the statistics, in 2014, that number was closer to 140,000 restaurants in the United States. So just in 6 years or so, that has gone up by 100,000, and it just keeps increasing. And that makes it super convenient to get fast food. And typically when I do this presentation in person with a group of people, I do a poll here and I ask them, how often are you eating out? And, most of the time you see there about once or twice a week. It is really hard to avoid going out to eat completely. So pretty common for people to go out at least once or twice a week. But you've got, a small group of people, about a quarter, that are eating it 3 or more times a week, and a quarter that never eat it, which is, that's pretty impressive. But typically 1 or 2 times a week, people are eating some fast food. Also, another reason why it's so convenient, our kids love it. Happy Meals, it's fun, they get a toy. There's a reason why happy hour is from 2 to 4. It's usually when kids are getting, out of school. Maybe you're picking your kids up from the babysitter, getting out of work. So there's a reason why happy hour is at that time. Another reason might be money. We can get a obscene amount of food for $4, $1. Places like Pizza Hut will have, their $10 meal, or they'll have like a $20 box where you can get like pasta, pizza, breadsticks, a dessert, and pop all in one. So, you do get a lot of food for a small amount of money. Another one is time. So this goes hand in hand with convenience. We are busy, everyone's busy. We're rushing around from work to practice to picking our kids up, to whatever after work, after school obligation we have to go to. It's a lot easier to roll through fast food restaurant than it is to go home and make a meal. It takes like 15 minutes to go through a fast food restaurant versus getting that meal at home before you have to go to your after work function. So definitely time is a reason why we eat fast food. And kind of one of the last ones here, advertisement. So maybe we don't realize how much advertisements affect us, but they're everywhere when it comes to fast food. Commercials, the radio, a billboard, coupons, those travel signs. There's always food lingering everywhere, and they always make the food look so good. So it's really easy to fall victim to advertisement, and especially those coupons when it comes to getting some fast food. So let's move more into health risk associated with consuming fast food regularly. And I'm talking probably 2 to 4 times a week here. And normally, again, when I do this presentation in person, I stop here and I allow people to write down, or at least think about, what are some reasons why you want to avoid fast food? And when I say reasons, I'm thinking, what are some health risks? Do you want to avoid being overweight? Do you want to avoid getting diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure? What are some things that maybe you're noticing that you have and you do eat fast food regularly? I usually give some people some time to do that. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and go forward and talk a little bit more about some of those health risks that you can see from regular fast food consumption. And again, this probably applies to people that are eating it, at least 3 to 4 times a week. Fast food just tends to be, high in calories, not a lot of nutrients. It has a lot of fat, added sugar, high in salt. So when you're regularly consuming those things, it can definitely lead to, being overweight. The added sugar and the carbs can lead to diabetes, or, high blood pressure can be affected by a high sodium intake. Cholesterol can be affected by, fat in the fast food, and stroke, again, it can kind of go back to the same type of stuff. Chronic heart disease. So those are some of the major ones there. Obviously, you can see all the other things listed on here. This is a small snapshot of some of the conditions that you can face, or the health risks you can face from consuming fast food regularly. And I want to go over a couple studies here. In 2004, the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute did a study on young adults. And they compared people that were eating fast food more than 2 times a week with those eating it less than once a week. And what they found was that after 15 years, people that ate it more than 2 times a week actually gained 10 more pounds and had a 2 times greater increase in insulin resistance. So probably no surprise there on that one. Then another one that was done at the University of Minnesota School of Public Health, they looked at how a westernized diet, aka fast food, affected developing and recently developed countries. So here are some of the statistics that came from that. People who are eating fast food just once a week, their risk of dying from heart disease increased by 20% in comparison to people who didn't eat it. People that were eating it 2 to 3 times a week, that risk increased up to 50%, or by 50%, I apologize. And then those who were eating it 4 or more times a week, the risk climbed to nearly 80%. So again, eating it every once in a while, not a huge risk. However, if you're eating it regularly 4 or more times a week, it can have a huge effect on you. And also in there, that was heart risk. At the bottom here, I mentioned, 2 or more times a week was also found to increase the risk of type 2 diabetes by almost 30%. Last study here, in 2012, this study in Thorax, they looked at connections between food and the development of asthma, chronic stuffy nose, and eczema in kids. And they had 2 age groups, 6 to 7 and 13 to 14. And in both groups, the kids who ate fast food 3 times a week or more had an increased risk of asthma, the stuffy nose, and the skin problem or skin condition here. So you'll see that a 40%, almost 40% increase in severe asthma, and almost a 30% increase in severe asthma for younger kids. So 30 to 40% increase for the teens and the younger kids. Then, ironically, but probably not ironically, 3 or more servings of fruit appeared to reduce the severity of the symptoms for all 3 conditions. So I'm always going to plug in, encouragement for eating your fruits and vegetables there. So let's move on to the nutritional composition of a typical fast food meal. I mentioned this briefly earlier, but most fast food meals are really high in calories, hardly any nutrients, high in added salt or sodium, high in added sugar, high in trans fat, saturated fat. There's just, in a pinch, and every once in a while, not a bad idea, but if you're consistently eating it, these things can add up to those health risks we talked about already. And just to kind of display this a little bit, I always like this picture because it shows us how ridiculous our sizes are compared to other countries. But this is about soda here, and you can see the child size calories versus a large. A super size I think was somewhere in the 400 calorie range. So I didn't even put the added sugar on here, but the child size had more than the recommended amount of added sugar in a day for a woman. So, that's just 12 ounces versus, the 32-ounce large there. Kind of the same thing with fries here. You know, maybe a small, not so bad. Fries tend to be a little bit higher in fat, higher in calories, so and sodium as well. But if you're getting a meal and you're getting a large fry, you can see how the large fry can account for one small meal in itself. So just, again, something to keep in mind as we move forward here. Least healthy choices. So probably most of us already know these, but it's good to put them up and to look at them. Anything that anything that's fried, any large sizes, anything that includes like whole milk, mayonnaise, gravy, special sauce, cheese sauce, bacon, those things probably not the best choice when we're going out to eat. So how can we combat this? What are some healthier alternatives to eating out? This is a nice little fulfilling fast food checklist. And I know this is not always up on a menu for you to see, so it may require some work on your end to look up a menu beforehand, or think about it a little bit beforehand, so you're not going in there trying to figure out, does this have 20 grams of fat? Does this have 45 or 60 grams of carbs? But this is just a good rule of thumb. So if you can find something that has 20 grams of fat or less, 1,000 milligrams of sodium or less, which is kind of hard to do, 15 grams of protein or more, which is a little easier to do. Most sandwiches are probably going to have that. 45 to 60 grams of carbs, usually not a big deal if you do a sandwich and like a salad or some fries in a salad. You're probably sitting at a good place as far as carbs go. Less than 600 to 700 calories. Again, this one is possible if you're getting a size large and a soda and a fried chicken sandwich. Probably not going to hit that 600 to 700 calories, but I have some tips later that will help with hitting that. 5 grams of fiber. This one's actually kind of hard too, depending on what you get. Not many places have the fiber intake. You have to kind of know what to order when you're going to a fast food restaurant to get that 5 grams of fiber in. And can you include at least one serving of a fruit or a vegetable? Most places now do have some type of fruit or vegetable available on their list. So we'll play a quick game of Eat This, Not That, and we'll start with Arby's. So this kind of goes to show how misleading a menu can be. So typically when we think of their market fresh sandwiches, we think that they should be better because they've got that whole wheat bread. There's usually more vegetables on there, but what makes it is the fact that there's some mayo on there, the cheese, I think there's some other sauce on there besides mayo. So it all of a sudden bumps that up to about 800 calories. Quite a bit of fat and quite a bit of saturated fat, and look at the sodium, that definitely doesn't fall into the 1,000 milligrams of sodium or less, versus a roast beef sandwich. It doesn't even have to be a super roast beef sandwich, but it's half the calories, almost more than half the fat, pretty close to half the saturated fat, and your sodium levels are pretty close to that 1,000 milligrams sodium that I was talking about earlier. Auntie Anne's pretzels, so this one, this maybe applies to when you're going out to the mall, but again, this is a misleading one where it says whole wheat pretzel without butter with cheese sauce, 450 calories, and it's got 1,600 milligrams of sodium. And, it's a lot of that's probably coming from the cheese sauce and the salt on the pretzel, where you go and look at the jalapeno pretzel without butter and marinara sauce, half the calories, certainly half the fat, and less than 1,000 milligrams of sodium. So that marinara sauce switch from the cheese dip, that's huge. There's hardly any salt on that pretzel. So even though it's not made with whole wheat, it's still less calories. Bob Evans. So again, and this is just going to show you how misleading some of these words can be here. 2 multigrain pancakes. So again, multigrain sounds good, but you have that syrup. So all of a sudden we've got a huge serving of pancakes, almost 900 calories in your breakfast meal, and you've got almost 1,700 milligrams of sodium. Whereas if you just got 3 scrambled eggs with some bacon and some fresh fruit, you have a meal that's less than 500 calories, some saturated fat in there, but not a whole lot, and less than 1,000 milligrams of sodium. So not a bad option to get your eggs, bacon, and fruit. Burger King, you know, if we're looking at the big fish sandwich, tartar sauce, medium fries, we've got 1,000-calorie meal with quite a bit of fat in there and 2,000 milligrams of sodium. 2,500 milligrams of sodium is the recommended intake for the day. If you have heart problems, it is 1,500 milligrams of sodium. So right there, you can see how just one meal, and that's not even including a drink, can almost exceed your intake for the day. Whereas if you just got a Whopper Jr. without mayo and a garden salad, you're sitting at, again, less than 500 calories for the day, not a ton of fat. You know, we're a little over on sodium, but you're still under that 1,500 milligrams for the day. Chipotle. So, you know, this one, the burrito, they're usually really large portions. So that's what gets you there. You can eat half the burrito and be okay. You know, that would cut that calories and fat and sodium in half, but you can see that amount of sodium just in the chicken burrito there. Whereas if you just get the chicken burrito bowl, you've added a serving of vegetables in there. You got half the calories and you've got over half the sodium. You know, we're really close to that 1,000 milligrams of sodium there. McDonald's. And this one, again, that premium grilled chicken club, it's misleading. It's got bacon, cheese, and mayo on it. So you'd be better off really just getting a regular chicken sandwich. In this case, we just compared it to a quarter pounder without cheese. Even if you got the cheese on there, it might increase your fat a little bit, your sodium and your calories, but you would still be sitting under, you know, less than 500 calories. You know, the grams of fat, a little high, not too bad, but you'd still be sitting under 1,000 milligrams of sodium as well. Here are some tips when you're at a fast food restaurant. So if you can, order the small size or order a smaller size than you normally get. So if you get a large, try and get a medium. If you can do salad or fruit instead of fries, I highly recommend it. Or maybe you do fries in a salad. Avoid fried items. So if we can do grilled over fried, that's a great option. If you really like your pop, can you try water at least one time or unsweet tea? If you're at, you know, a place like Subway or, I guess really in a restaurant, can you add your own condiments? That way you can control how much is going on there. If you're diabetic or watching your blood sugar, removing half the bun or bread is one way to go about some stuff. If you can get dressings, try to do oil-based and put your dressings on the side. Although anymore, most places will put it on the side for you. Ask for a salad without cheese and bacon. Cheese and bacon can add up in the sodium and the fat categories there. If you know what you want ahead of time, so you can look at a restaurant menu. Most places will have the nutritional value stuff online. Avoid skipping meals. When you skip meals, you get overly hungry. You tend to reach for whatever is readily available, which is some type of carb. You know, your body is asking for energy, so it's going to try to get energy as easy and fast as it can. And avoid buffets. Buffets are expensive, so when we go, we want to get our money's worth, and we tend to overeat every time. I don't know anyone that's ever walked out of a buffet that's been like, man, I ate just the right amount of food. So there are some tips for fast food. So let's apply those tips and do some makeovers here. A fast food burger meal. So maybe you originally order things like a large hamburger, large fries, large Coke. Okay, so you can see how that violates almost every single rule that we had talked about earlier, or that checklist that we talked about, not rule. So a better choice, we mentioned, let's try a Diet Coke, a different drink. Let's try a smaller size. Already you can see how that brought down, you know, less than 500 calories, okay on the carbohydrates, less than 1,000 milligrams of sodium. The best choice, let's do a hamburger and a side salad with an oil-based dressing and a water. All of a sudden, you've got a meal that's not too bad. Yes, the sodium went up a little bit, but it's probably because of the dressing. So again, not a bad meal. You're getting a serving of a vegetable there. You're drinking some water. You know, great choice there. Let's do chicken. So maybe you originally did a fried chicken breast with skin from KFC with some fries and a large Coke. Not surprised. You see how all those things, all those numbers are, pretty close to daily intakes for the day. Better choice, let's try grilled. Maybe you go to a Diet Coke, save some calories in that way. Again, 500 calories for the meal, not bad. Carbohydrates come way down. Our sodium's still running a little high, but that's okay. So how can we bring it down? Grilled chicken, green beans, and water. So we got grilled, we've got a vegetable, and we've got water, and that is, you're not taking in very many calories at all. Our sodium is less than 1,000 milligrams, so not a bad fast food meal. And then a sandwich meal makeover, so think like Subway. So we would normally get a cheesesteak, you get some chips and a large Coke. Quite a bit of sodium, calories pretty high, carbohydrates really high. So how can we bring that down? So maybe we choose a turkey breast, a leaner cut of meat. We still get our chips, but we switch to a Diet Coke. So again, we're less than 500 calories now, but our sodium, it's under the 1,000, but still running kind of high. Carbs are on the higher end too. So what do? We tried grilled chicken, we get an apple instead of chips, and we do water. Sodium's still running slightly high, but it's come down quite a bit from the very beginning. Carbs, still about in the middle now. Fat came way down. Calories less than 500 calories. Talking about drinks is important too. If you get a regular soda instead of a diet soda, obviously quite a bit of calories and sugar there. That makes a difference. Sports drinks have calories and sugar in them. Vitamin water, that's one that people used to think it was healthy, but again, full of calories and sugar. Sweetened tea can make a difference. It's got almost the same, it's not quite as bad as a juice drink, but still a lot of sugar in it. Water, obviously a really good choice. Coffee, unsweet tea, those are all good choices when you go out. So this was a survey that was done out of the 100 of the largest fast food chains. And this this scored foods, which places have the best fast food meal options. They scored it based on healthy fats, preparation, healthy sodium counts, availability of nutrition information, and organic produce. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'm going to pick out a couple. Panera Bread was number one. Whole grain choices, apple instead of chips. You can do half sizes, so smaller portions of salads, soups, and sandwiches. I'll hit on Chipotle. We talked about this earlier. We have complete control over what's in our burrito, our taco, our salad. So you can make sure that there's plenty of vegetables, and you can make sure that you're getting brown rice over white rice. McDonald's, number 8 there. Happy Meal offers apple dippers, yogurt, milk, and juice. Egg McMuffin's not a bad choice, 300 calories. We talked a lot about how to make some of those switches earlier as well. Okay, so here are some fast meals, just to add more tips and tricks to your tool bag here. So junior roast beef sandwich, potato cakes, and water. Not a bad choice, still a little high on the carbs and the sodium. Wendy's, their chili is good. They have unsweetened iced tea. They have an ultimate grilled chicken sandwich. Sodium, again, a little high, but everything else looks okay. Their chili has a lot of fiber in it too. Subway, so I didn't put the sodium on here, but most of these sandwiches will have quite a bit of sodium in them. However, you can get a ham sub and chips for less than 500 calories. Turkey with the cookie and chips, still less than 500 calories. I should mention these are 6-inch subs, not 12-inch. 6-inch veggie delight with some potato chips. Not bad choices. Adding a lot of vegetables on there. Getting drinks that don't have a lot of calories in them can help with bringing that down. McDonald's, Egg McMuffin and yogurt parfait and black coffee. That's not a bad breakfast. Again, a lot of sodium. Every one of these meals is going to have way more sodium than what we really need to be taking in. Their premium grilled chicken sandwich with apple dippers and bottled water. So right there you got, you grilled, you got water, and you got a fruit in. A single hamburger, fries, and unsweet tea. It's actually got the least amount of sodium on this little page here. Taco Bell, chicken baja taco, pintos and cheese and water. Still a lot of sodium, but less than 500 calories. okay on the carbs, 3 tacos and water, okay on the sodium, but less than pretty close to 500 calories. Starbucks, grande cappuccino without whipped cream. Without whipped cream is a good one. If you can get your drinks without whipped cream, you'll save yourself quite a bit. Grande skinny mocha frappuccino without whipped cream. Those drinks are always going to be higher in calories, higher in sugar. So if you can find different, experiment with different drinks and find ones, that don't have as much added sugar, without whipped cream, and those types of things. So some alternatives to drive-thrus. If you can pack your own lunch, pack your own sandwiches, that can really save you from having to go through the drive-thru. You can control what's going on your sandwiches or in your lunch. Bring fruits and vegetables. Use those throughout the day as a snack and pair them with your meals so you can get your 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Take your own water, carry around a reusable water bottle or keep, a pack of water in your car so you can grab them whenever and plan ahead. That's one of those things where I always encourage people to make sure that they're, writing out what your meals are going to be for the week and go to the store based off of what you're going to have and have your stuff ready to go for the week. So we've gone over why we eat fast food. We identified some health risks. We learned what a typical fast food is made of. And we talked about some healthier alternatives when eating out. And those top 5 takeaways out of this, fast food tends to be high in calories, sodium, saturated and trans fat, and added sugar. And if we are consistently eating it, 2 to 3 times a week, it can lead to health risks like high cholesterol, obesity, cancer, stroke, blood pressure problems, if we're intaking those things. If we make small changes like ordering a smaller size, fruit or vegetable, water over soda, it's going to reduce the number of calories, the number of fat, the sugar that we intake every day. Sometimes resorting to fast food, it's unavoidable. That's okay. Now you have some good tips and tricks on ordering it. And if you can, try packing a lunch a few times a week, offset the number of times you eat fast food. Normally, this is where I ask you guys if you have any questions. So when you're watching this, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me at ktam@logansportmemorial.org. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day.